Hello guys, so this seems to be a hot topic and people keep talking about it in my comments, so I need to address it. I must put a disclaimer that I'm going to do a very cold analysis and I'm not very emotional about this issue. I will look at it almost as a machine, and many people have very emotional gut reactions to the pay to win topic. Many people are very emotional and even irrational, in my opinion, about this topic. I'm going to jump straight up for the more extreme case, which is you can purchase tokens, bazaar tokens, in the website, and I can spend, let's say, $35 to get 2,600 tokens, and then always spend those tokens on the cardboard caches, always get those quests done, and I'll have a ton of cardboard cache loot boxes that will give me random epic gear at level 60. And people think, oh, this is a huge advantage because now you're going to be so well geared up. But this is because you have never played on an Ascension server on a level 60. These cardboard caches will be helpful, of course, but you are paying for a chance. It's a loot box system, and half of those caches will give you vendor items. Most of the items won't be useful for your class to use specifically. And even in some cases, many of those items won't be very useful to you. You still need to do heroic dungeons, mythic dungeons, get your item level up, because those caches will scale based on your item level. Of course, you'll have a slightly easier time doing so. Of course, if you want to blood forge some of those items, you'll get an easier time getting a PvP set or doing some PvP. But knowing the Mystic Enchants, knowing your class is your priority, knowing how to play the game is your priority by far. This is not Diablo 4 where you can spend $1,000 and suddenly you are untouchable, one-shooting everyone else. I could spend $1,000 in this game and I will not have any overwhelming advantage over anybody else unless I have that advantage myself as a human player, as my knowledge of the game, as my ability to play my class, as my way of min-maxing the game. And by having all those advantages in my brain, I don't need to pay that amount of money to still make them realize in the game. I'm only right now unlocking the best parts of the arms tree regarding my talent points. So up until now, every time I wanted to do some world PvP or high risk PvP, I would find sometimes people who had no transmog gear, nothing on them. They looked like regular players, and maybe they were regular players, free to play players, and many times, depending on the class, depending on the specs, those people could beat me up pretty easily. It's not because I became a donor that suddenly I'm one-shooting everybody else. This is not Warmain ×7 fun Wrath of the Lich King server, where you can spend like $200 and buy a Shadowmourne and suddenly you are full of green items, full of green gear, but you show up with a Shadowmourne in a lower bracket battleground one-shooting everybody else or something like that. That sometimes people complain on those forums, I don't know. And 12k players play on that server, people enjoy it. And you can, in that server, you can say you can completely buy best in slot gear. In that server, you can literally buy pay to win. There is no item in the game that you cannot purchase on that shop. And you can purchase some items on the shop that are never available on the game and will never be available inside the game. But you can obtain them only through the shop, only by paying certain mounts, certain bags like the for a creator of never ending storage. So that is true pay to win, and still that is what they use with great success, and people pay because they enjoy the experience and no one cares about the pay to win. If you are a very bad player, you can buy best in slot and you will not be able to do the heroic raids at maximum difficulty successfully unless you're getting carried and everyone around is making fun of you. Now I'm going to address the lighter part of the issue, which is there are very strong convenience items. I also had a comment where they listed all the convenience items and they were bringing to my attention some things that I was not aware of, and I completely agree. There are some things that if your objective is not to do endgame raiding, if you're a person who only enjoys the leveling experience and you want to level as many characters to max level but you're not going to do much after that, then yeah, the people who can pay to get convenience, they are doing literally pay to win regarding the leveling, which is skipping lots of time consuming tasks to level faster. but that's also a double-edged sword, because on PTR I was completely without HD graphics, without lots of stuff. I think I could see some transmogs, but overall there were not as many players there, and I was completely free to play there. And what happens was, I ended up traveling a lot more, I ended up discovering World Forge items a lot more, Mystic Enchants a lot more, and just finding new interesting locations and new secret hideouts that I had no idea that existed in the game. By getting the feather that allows you to travel faster, by getting those Hearthstones of teleportation or whatever, you end up traveling so much faster or just teleporting everywhere. At the same time, you're saving, of course, you're saving a lot of time, but you're missing so many other opportunities for interactions, for other beneficial interactions. So you're kind of like sacrificing one thing for another. And many times, while you are going around, you find a new rare mob, a new rare spawn, you try to kill some different mobs here and there. Sometimes that you see a nice pack and you grind that pack a little bit, and what happens is you get more drops, you get sometimes more gold, you end up getting more stuff because you're doing more stuff in the game. And when you're paying to not do more stuff in the game and you're paying to do less stuff in the game also gives you less stuff. So in a way, when I see people getting so butthurt about this issue, for me it's completely maddening, because you're telling me that you are angry because some people are paying to get less stuff in the game. It's almost like that, just because they are rushing a little bit faster, and then they're going to play on an alt. And what does the alt get that's so special? When you're playing on an alt character, you're not going to find anything that you could not find easier and faster on your main, unless the levels of experience. But sooner or later, when they get the hours of experience, leveling will also be that much faster and easier. And at the same time, you could also be prestiging on your main, which some people will eventually do. Where I see the biggest thing, and why my focus on my first video was the biggest focus, was on vanity. Why? You can spend $1,000 and you will not get any huge power boost. You can get all the convenience items on the shop, and eventually you reach a dead end where there is not that much of a big power spike. You have a little bit easier time doing this and that other task. Some things like the loot bot could be an add-on with a DLL injection if the developers allowed that on the server, but of course if they can sell it, they will not allow it. But that's a feature that could be implemented into the client, which was later added on in other versions of World of Warcraft. So auto loot is not this big thing, and people still buy these things. But these convenience items, they are very little, they have a smaller meaning, and especially for the Ascension team, because what do I see? I see many players walking around with 500, 600, 300 DP worth of transmog items. I see people changing sets every day. Sometimes I see people who, during the same day, they will show me 3 or 4 sets. Each set is worth like 200 DP or something like that, with wings, with special effects, and all this crazy stuff. There is also loot box system and a very addictive dopamine system here with the sales, because you get random sales every day, so you want to check out which sales there are there, then you get excited about the new items that are on the sales on the website, but then you go to T-Rexes, the NPC that sells those Bazaar token items that are exclusive limited edition items on the Bazaar token shop. And what do you get there? You get wings that are not for sale anywhere else. And then you need to buy the Bazaar tokens, but the Bazaar tokens converted to some of those items sometimes are more expensive than buying those items on the shop, depending on which item you're trying to get, because that is a very exclusive limited edition version of that appearance and that item. For me, the way Ascension makes the most money is actually selling vanity, and I think only 1/3 of their earnings comes from convenience. Of course, at the start of a new server, they might sell like at least 2,000 or 3,000 Warchests to some players. At least like 3,000 players got the 100 DP Warchest, which is like $30 or $35, but let's say PayPal takes a cut, something like that, and they're making like 9,000 euros on convenience items. I live in one of the poorest countries of Europe, which is Portugal, where our average wage might be around 1000 euros per month and the minimum will be at 800 euros. And if you made 9000 euros every year, you will be poor here. There is no way around it. For a single person, not for an entire team, you know? But I will bet they must be making way more than that, because otherwise there is no way the servers could be up for all this time. And unlike many other private servers where you have to buy everything for every character that you own, every single time you need to buy the same stuff again on the shop, here the things have the vanity sync, which provide a lot more value, but at the same time, when the people have a bigger initial spending, then it trickles down quite hard, and eventually all the people have lots of stuff and people just stop buying stuff on the shop, and they actually need a constant influx of new players to keep the server alive, which for me is a very scary logic as well. They either have some things that are recurring purchases, or they have some other investments where they optimize very well the spendings to maintain the servers up, or I hope they are investing into S&P 500, something like that, so they have regular income to do good Samaritan work and keep the servers up. I don't know how many of you own businesses or work for yourself as your own boss, or if you have any idea of the costs of running a server and paying a developer team, and I hope these developers are getting well paid for their work, because they are doing some amazing work. But when you look at the quality of this server, that is like light years ahead of everything else. No other private server comes even close to this. And you think people are doing this for free? You cannot be that naive, right? We are talking like adults. I hope so. I hope most of my viewers, at least, you are smart enough to understand that the amount of hours of debugging, of creative work, of careful putting items in places, carefully conjuring this experience that we are all enjoying and having, and look at the player counts. The player counts have not gone down, they seem to be going up. I'm laughing talking about this. How can I not laugh about this? You're telling me that something is going to do all this out of the goodness of their heart? Well, I could do it. If I won the lottery, I became a millionaire, billionaire, I had a few hotels giving me regular income, I could just use some spare leftover money, create a server, and then just pay whatever I wanted to everybody working there, and then I could wish to not have any shop there. I could be like that kind of good Samaritan. But usually when people have that kind of money, they buy race cars, they go to racetracks, you know. You do something a bit crazier with your life. You become sort of an adrenaline junkie. You want to drive planes, you want to drive helicopters, you know. You want to find the meaning of life, because all the material things are completely meaningless. That's what I see from millionaires usually. But now, this, you think people are going to do all this for free? Doesn't make much sense. At the same time, I completely get it. If you are completely against pay to win, you can look at this. Even the people that are trying to pay to win, they're not getting all that much out of it. Okay, their experience changes a little bit. There are some things that are harder to obtain, way harder to obtain in the game, others that aren't. But it's not like you cannot beat them. If you are just good at the game, you will beat them regardless. There is no amount of money that will make them do better in raids and in mythics. There is no amount of money that will make them do better in PvP. They can look better while they're fighting you. That's the only thing. They can, if someone likes that look, if someone likes all the special effects, and for you it might be even like some sort of a joke, because for you they might be even looking worse, they are paying to look worse. You can turn off all that, and so the people that are playing with the transmogs on, they think, oh, I look so cool, and when people look at me they will see that I'm a big time donor, and many other people around them are without transmogs on, and so they don't even see that. They are paying for a visual thing that nobody else is seeing, if their entire guild is free to play and turns off transmogs. So that's another thing. The other day I've most of the time I've had very positive interactions, but the other day I had someone call me poor in a dungeon because I didn't have the wisdom ball. How cute is that? I think, you see, you also have people that go completely opposite of the free-to-play player mentality, where they go into the pay-to-win mentality, and if you're not spending money on Ascension, you're automatically poor, which I find it hilarious. I find it really cute when some WoW players talk about money, because you have no idea behind the screen how much more money some people inside the game have and how poor some other people are. Sometimes you are playing with people from third world countries that might be enjoying the game, but they might even struggle to get food on their table, and at the same time you might have a Ferrari in your garage. So I think people are going completely nuts on the internet lately. WoW private servers have been a staple for people who had lower end computers because the game was very old. At the same time, the game could run on those old PCs and was free to play. You just join a website, you never had to pay a cent. Some people could pay a little bit, get some items, okay, they will support the server, they will get some mounts, some cool looking pep, some exclusive stuff. I completely agree when people look at this and they start to see the downfall the same way that happened with the WoW token in the WoW Classic, which is they're starting to put loot box systems and pay to win into WoW. It's just a matter of time that people see how profitable this is and they start milking the game that I love, and instead of being a free to play game like it used to be, it will become a pay to win game. I completely agree. It's a completely valid concern, but it's not my place to be concerned about it because it's not in my power to do anything or change anything about that. Okay, you can say just close the wallets, just never donate, but if the servers dry out that badly, then people also lose interest in fixing the server, in working and giving you the product that you really want. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You have to teeter in between both worlds. You need to be driving in a very fine line, on a very, very narrow line between complete free to play and complete pay to win. And there are so many more egregious versions of pay to win. And there are even other servers that present, I think, in my opinion, solutions which I like it a little bit more, which is the case of, for example, Warmain. They have their fun servers, instant level 80 servers. Servers where you can buy literally everything, and then they have the Blizz like ×1 realm, which is a little bit of a slower paced realm, less population, but there it's way harder to get anything and you cannot buy raid items or anything like that. So you have the fun servers where donators and whales go there to spend, they support the server, and then they have another server without any pay to win items, and in that server you need to earn everything. And if you are that kind of people, Ascension could create a server just for you. And I think that will be very, very smart. I think that will please both populations. Let's say Bronzebeard was the fun server and Malfurion was the server that didn't even have a cash shop unless it was for mounts and cosmetics only. Suddenly, all those people that get mad about the pay to win argument, that argument will be over. It will turn off overnight. You have the solution there already. It's so easy. For me, this is also another interesting point. It's the same as going to some online competition of sim racing or some esports and having either fixed setups where nobody can change the setups and it's only about your driving technique and skill, or having the ability to showcase your skill of setting up a car, but many people will also do pay to win there by paying pro level data analysts to actually give them esports level setups, min-maxed setups, and they can go for up to 5, 10, 15 euros or dollars with telemetry data and all the lab information and everything. Humans will always act like humans. It's the same way that you have those paid leveling guides for official retail World of Warcraft. It's the same thing, man. People who have valuable information or valuable secrets, they will never give them for free. Nobody is giving to you or anyone else lots of stuff for free in this world. If you don't have the maturity to have learned this already in your life, you are learning it now. Just look at how private servers work. It was supposed to be open source code emulation, everybody working on the same code, all the private servers in the world having very high quality. Instead you have lots of separate teams. They start by picking up older cores, older broken code, and each team is fixing everything on their own in different paths, different directions. Sometimes you see the same bugs from very old code in 2 or 3 different servers, and you see those bugs getting fixed over time. And you can even notice how good a team is by how fast some of those bugs get fixed and how they get fixed. People are going mad these days on the internet because people are trying to read in between the lines on everything that everyone is doing. People seem to be suspicious of everyone and everywhere. There are so many worse cases and servers that have been with the worst payment system for 10 years and people just ignore it. You can completely ignore this issue. You don't need to be after any donors, any videos about this. You don't need to be hating on everybody else. Why be that mad? Why be that angry at the world around you? If there were no whales, no donators ever on this server or any private server, none of those servers would be up, and if they were up, they will be the effort of a small minority of Good Samaritan developers, and they will be struggling a lot more with the finances to even get everything running and everything working, if things even got that far. You could try to play on any other server without anything on the cash shop, but I've barely even heard of any successful cases of those servers. Usually they are just pretty broken because the developers just don't have money, of course, and debugging. I'm not sure how many of you have experience in coding. I studied a little bit and I said these headaches are not for me because debugging and reading someone else's code, you have no idea how tiresome that can be. And I'm sure that people that play the game and work in the industry will know it even better than anyone else. I'm far from the best person to talk about that topic. Instead of being angry at donators, thank them. Thank the whales for keeping the servers that you like to play alive. In any server, when I saw big time donators, I was happy for them and I was happy for the server. And in the end, that's just another more powerful player that I can team up with. That's just someone that can help me even better now in the game, and at the same time I know that the server is having more resources to fight legal cases if that ever happens, and I'm knocking on wood. I really don't want the private server golden era to ever end, because this is such a great time just to explore the game. People need to take things at face value. And people can also look into other servers that are very seasonal, not evergreen, where you can spend a lot but then everything evaporates. You can say some private servers, people are making millions of dollars and then they buy a house or buy a Ferrari, but then the server stays the same for like 5 years. Nothing new, nothing changes, maybe small things here and there, okay, some bug fixes, but very minimal work compared to the work Ascension have done. It's just not because it's on a computer that's not the same as real life, which is. When I do my work and people really appreciate it, I love when people value my work. When I find someone else's work that I really love and I'm really enjoying it and I want to go have the experience of watching their concert and I'm paying for it, I'm also supporting their work. It's the same thing. You usually go into the things that you love and you believe. I don't try to go watch a musician that I hate. I don't try to get there for free, and then I don't try to hate on the people that enjoy that music and pay to see that music. Some people can be like that. It's a completely different topic, but it's the same broken brain logic, and I think that people who have that hateful mentality, you need to solve your brain issues. There is something not working well there. This is my best advice to you. If advices fixed everything, people would not give them for free, so I just hope that by sharing my perspective, I'm helping you a little bit at least become less hateful. Focus more on the things that you enjoy doing and enjoy more your life. Take more out of your limited time in life. Life is very short, time is very limited. You need to make the most out of it. If one of your favorite things in the world is to play World of Warcraft, just play the game, love the game and enjoy your time. My huge rant is over. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, or at least the ones that made it up this far. Have a great day and have a great time. See you on the next one.